Hey everyone, it's Megan here from Meghan Makes Do, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet the beautiful Tobyn hat. You'll need 2 colors of yarn for this one. For this tutorial, we are using Lion Brand's Re-Spun bonus bundle in the color Parchment and the color Cider. For a full detailed list of how many yards you'll need for this hat, go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We're also going to be using a size G 4.25 millimeter crochet hook, as well as an H 5 millimeter crochet hook. So you're going to need the G for the brim of the hat and the H for the main body. You'll also need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, and optional is a pom-pom maker that I have here. This one is from Clover. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to start our hat, we're going to be making the brim, and we're going to be working the brim in rows and then joining it into a circle at the end. So you'll decide which color you want for your main color. I'm choosing the cider color, the darker color. And you're also going to need your G crochet hook. Again, this is a 4.25 millimeter G hook. So start by making a slip knot on your hook, and then we're going to chain 10. Okay, so now we've got 10 chains. We're going to skip the first chain, and working into the second chain from the hook, we are going to single crochet into each chain all the way across this row. You can easily adjust the width of your band by adding or reducing the number of chains that you start with. Okay, so here's our last single crochet. You'll have 9 single crochet. Then you're going to chain 1 and turn, and for row 2 and all of the next rows for our band, we are going to work a single crochet into just the back loop only. So make sure that you're only going through the back loop of your stitch, not through both. You're going to leave the front loops unworked, and this is going to give us that nice ribbing effect for our crochet band. And the size that we're making for this tutorial is an adult size. Again, just chain 1 and turn. So we're going to make a total of 73 rows for our band before we join them together. So go ahead and continue repeating row 2, which is just to single crochet in the back loop only all the way across until you have a total of 73 rows. You can easily adjust the total width of your hat if you want a smaller hat or a larger size hat, just by adding rows or subtracting rows to your band, making sure that you have a multiple of 6 plus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of my 73 rows made, and then I'll meet you back here and show you how to join your rows to make the circle for your hat. Okay, so I just finished my 73rd row of single crochet in the back loop only. So we want to join our 2 ends together to make a full circle for the band. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then making sure not to twist my band, I'm just going to bring my beginning edge where my chain stitches were up to my current row. And to make it look a little more seamless, I find this is my favorite go-to technique for this. So I'm going to just slip stitch my ends together, but I'm going to go through the beginning chains and then through the back loop only of my current row. And then I'm just going to slip stitch. So I'm going to go into the chains, beginning chains, and into the back loop only of my current row and slip stitch again. And we're just going to do this all the way across. This is going to join our ends together, creating one circle for our hat band. And you'll see when I flip this over, oh, I think I must have skipped a beginning chain there. Let me do this again. It's a little bit tricky. You want to make sure that you're lining up, and so we'll have the same amount of stitches on either side. There we go. Line those up. So we're just slip stitching our ends together. And since we're only going through the back loop of our current row again, when we flip our band right side out, it pushed those front loops forward and it looks pretty much seamless here. So you'll know, like you'll have your little tail end here, you'll know that this is the bottom where you started and this is where your seam is. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to be single crocheting around the edge of our band. But before we do that, we're gonna go ahead and switch hooks. So I'm using a smaller hook just for the brim. And now I'm gonna switch back to my H hook, or switch to my H hook. Here we go. So now I have my H, which is a 5mm, and this is what we're going to use for the main body of our hat. So go ahead and pull out your G hook and set that to the side. Insert your H hook, and now we have the right side of the band facing us. And for round 1, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet into each end of each row all the way around. So I'm going to start here in this first row here, skipping our slip stitch row. So in order to single crochet evenly around, I kind of go insert my hook here at the bottom of the first row, single crochet, and then you'll see these loops here. That's the second row. And so you're kind of going in 2 spots in between. If you look at these front loops that we didn't crochet into when we made our band, you'll crochet here and then into the hole. Okay, so just do that all the way around. You're going to single crochet. You should end up with a total of 73 single crochets all the way around. So however many rows you made for your band, that's how many single crochets you're going to have for your first round of the main body of the hat. Now, if you're adjusting the size, let's say the 73 rows is too big and so you did less, or it's not big enough so you did more. You'll want to make sure, no matter if you sized up or down, you always have a multiple of 6 plus 1. So if you're going to go down, maybe you only did 66 is what you need. That's your multiple of 6 plus 1 would be 67. You could definitely do that. So just making sure that you have a multiple of 6 plus 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue single crocheting evenly around, working 1 single crochet into the end of each row of our brim. And when I get towards the end, I'll meet you back here and show you what to do next. Okay, so here I am at the end. I'm going to work my last single crochet into the end of this row. That gives me 73. And then I'm going to slip stitch to the first single crochet to join. So that's the end of round 1 of our main panel. So round 1 and all odd rows, we're going to be working with the right side of the band facing us, And for all of our even rows, we're going to be working with the wrong side of the band facing us. So we're going to work in joined, turned rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 3. This is going to count as our stitch, our first stitch, and we're going to turn our work. So now the wrong side of the brim is facing me, and I'm going to go ahead and work 2 double crochets into the same stitch as our join. Then I'm going to skip 2 stitches and single crochet in the next. Skip 2 again and work a shell stitch or 5 double crochet into the next stitch. Oops, that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip 2 again, single crochet, skip 2, and shell. And we're just going to repeat that all the way around the brim of our hat. Until we have 3 stitches left. Okay, so I've gotten all the way around and I have 3 stitches left. I just did a single crochet, so I'm going to skip 2, and then I'm going to work 2 double crochet into the last stitch, because this is going to finish off the shell stitch that we started with. So we had 3, because our chain 3 counts as a stitch here at the beginning. So to join this round, I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 from the beginning. And then what we're gonna do, we wanna switch colors here. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm not gonna finish off my single crochet yet. I'm going to change colors during this last yarn over. So here's my second color. This is my color B, this is Parchment. So I'm gonna grab this yarn and finish my yarn over, finish my single crochet with the Parchment, and then we can pull that a little bit tighter there. So this is going to kind of make our shell stitch is going to kind of be split up. We're going to do half of it at the beginning of the row and half of it at the end. So now we're ready to start round 3. So we're going to chain 1, we're going to turn our work again, and since this is an odd row, the right side of our band is going to be facing us. And then we do not need to carry the Cider yarn around with us. We're just going to leave that kind of hanging out here. We don't need to worry about that right now. So we joined and we chained 1, and then we're going to work a single crochet into the same stitch as our join. Then we're going to chain 2, and now we're going to work a 5 double crochet together over the next 5 stitches. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, and we're going to repeat that 4 more times. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. So we're almost doing a full double crochet, but we're just not finishing it off yet. We're going to finish that off and join all these stitches together in one final yarn over. So once you've gotten your 5 half little mini double crochets on your hook, you'll have 6 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and draw through all of those loops. Then we're going to chain 2, and we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. And we're just going to repeat that. So chain 2 again, work a 5 double crochet together. So it's almost like we're making a reverse shell stitch when we do this 5 double crochet together. just like that, and then yarn over and draw through all 6 loops on your hook, chain 2, and single crochet into the next stitch. So we're going to repeat that all the way around, ending by slip stitching into this first single crochet. But I'll meet you back here at the end once we've gotten all the way around and we're ready to complete round 3. Okay, so I made it to the end of my round. I just did my last double crochet 5 together. Then I'm going to chain 3 and we're going to slip stitch to this first single crochet of our round. But instead of using the Parchment to slip stitch, I'm going to slip stitch using the Cider because I'm going to change back to my Cider color now. So I'm just drawing that up and slip stitching it together. Then I can pull that Parchment tight a little bit. Again, we're going to just drop the Parchment because we don't need that for our next round. We can just carry them up the edge of our hat. So I'm going to work a round 2 repeat. So this is going to be round 4. I'm going to chain 3 and turn. Now again, the wrong side of the brim is going to be facing me for this round. You can flip it all the way out if you'd like. And just as we did before, we're going to work 2 double crochet into the same stitch as our join. And you will need to kind of pull this tight. If you want to, you can always slip stitch with the Parchment first if you'd like. It's up to you if you're having trouble kind of keeping that together. Then, just as before, we're going to skip our 2 chains. So skip 2, single crochet into the next, which will be the top of the double crochet 5 together. And then we're going to skip 2 again, so skipping these 2 chains, and we're going to work a shell stitch or 5 double crochet into our next stitch, into that single crochet. And 5. Okay, and then skip 2 and single crochet into the next. Skip 2 again and shell. So we're just doing the same as we did for round 2, the same thing. And we're just going to work that all the way around, and coming back here, we're going to work 2 double crochet in the last stitch and then slip stitch to the chain 3 to join. Okay, so I've made it back around, and in this last single crochet stitch here, I am going to work 2 double crochets, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 to join. And I am feeling like I maybe should always slip stitch with the same color because this is kind of coming apart here and I'm not liking that. So our next round, I'm just going to do the changing of the colors after. But for this round, I can kind of pull that over and tuck it in. Okay, so now we're going to switch again back to Parchment. So I'm going to switch here in my chain 1, just pull that tight and chain again. That's another option for changing your colors. And then we're going to turn our work. Again, the right side of our brim is going to be facing us. And we're going to single crochet into the same stitch as our join. And then we're just going to repeat round 3. And we're going to continue to repeat rounds 2 and 3 over and over, always joining and then turning, making sure that we are working odd rows with the right side facing out and the even rows with the right side or the wrong side facing out. And we're going to do that until our hat measures about 9 inches from the bottom of the brim to the top. You can always make it slightly shorter or slightly longer depending on how much of a slouch you want or the exact size or fit that you want to get for your hat. So one thing I love about hats, they're easily adjustable. So go ahead and continue to repeat rounds 2 and 3 until your hat measures about 9 inches high. And then I'll meet you back here and show you how to close up your hat. Okay, so I just finished, I did 15 rows total, which got me exactly to 9 inches. So I forgot to mention that you'll want to stop on a row 3 repeat so that we have a straight edge here. So once you get to your final point for the final height of your hat that you'd like, now I'm going to switch over back to my color A, my cedar color. And we're gonna chain 1 and again turn. And for this last round, we are just going to single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So single crochet into the same stitch as your join. And then you can either work into the chain stitches or you can work around, whichever one you want. Just make sure that you work 1 single crochet stitch in each stitch all the way around. So you should end up with 73 stitches total. So I'm just going to continue to work single crochets all the way around for round 16. And when I get to the end, I'll meet you back here and show you how to close up your hat. Okay, so I've gotten all the way around my hat, and then I'm going to slip stitch to the first stitch to join. And here, if you wanted to add a little bit of extra height here, you can definitely add height here just in case like the 2-row repeat is a little too high that you want to add more but not that much. You can definitely add rounds here, but we're going to go ahead. I'm going to stop here because I like this height for my hat. It's slightly slouchy but not too slouchy. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to cut off our parchment colored yarn, color B, just leaving a long enough tail to weave in the ends. And then we're going to cut off our color A yarn that we were just working with. We're going to leave a slightly longer tail here because we're going to use this to seam up the top of our hat. So cut a long tail and then pull that yarn all the way through. And then you can either weave these ends in now, keeping this one out, or you can weave those in at another time when you're all done with your hat. Either one will work. So now we're just going to grab a tapestry needle and we're going to thread the end of our long tail onto our tapestry needle. And then this is my favorite way to close up hats, but if you have a different way, you can definitely close it in whichever way or method that you prefer. So what I like to do is try to get it evenly laying flat so that our seam is right in the center. Tuck this end in there. Okay. And then all I'm gonna do is make a little whip stitch between both the front and back of the hat where the seam is, as evenly as possible. And this is gonna give me 2 large loops. Okay, so you can see here these 2 large loops. I'm also doing this with the right side of the hat facing out. So now I've got these 2 large loops. I'm going to fold my hat in half the other way. So that these 2 loops are evenly coming into here. So we want to fold those loops in half as evenly as possible, just like this. And then again, we take our needle and we're going to go through all layers here. So going back through the center that we already stitched into and through the center of both of those big loops that we made. And this is going to give us 4 big loops. Okay, just like that, 4 big loops. And then we're going to take each one of those loops and bring the center of those loops, working from the outside in, going through the center, and we're just going to stitch those down. And I like to go opposite of each other. So work one side and then the next side. So we're just going to be drawing those center loops in. Again, working from the outside, going through the center, and then the last one from the outside, going to the center. There we go. Okay, so now it's getting a little bit harder to see, but I will have 8 loops here. So for this, I'm just going to pick one to start, and then I'm going to work my way around. So again, just as before, insert your hook from the outside, going into the loop, and then into the center. Oops. And then I just kind of count. So that's 1, this is 2, and I kind of feel my way around because some of the loops can kind of start to go down into the hat. This is number 3. Feeling my way around. Here's number 4. And each time I'm just putting it into the middle of the hat. And this is going to give us a nice base for our pom-pom as well. Okay, feeling around. Here's number 5. Here's number 6. Here's number 7. Try not to get your loop tangled up there. And here's my last loop, number 8. So now the top of our hat is all closed up, and bringing them all into the center like that gives us a nice spot. We know that our pom-pom can attach right there. So I'm actually going to leave this long tail on because I might need it later when I sew the pom-pom on, or you can just thread it back through in the center and then weave in your ends through there. So if you're not doing a pom-pom, go ahead and weave in all your ends. If you are doing a pom-pom, I'm going to go ahead and grab my pom-pom maker and show you how that's done. All right, so now that we've finished our hat, we're ready to make our pom-pom. I highly recommend getting some of these awesome pom-pom makers. This one is from Clover. It makes the process so much easier and so much faster. So what we're gonna do is, you can see that there are two things on this side and two like half circle things on this side. They do separate. So you're just gonna open those up, and then starting on one end, and I'm going to be using my color A yarn, which is the Cider, the darker color for my pom. You just start wrapping it around, making sure that you're going around both of these pieces. Just like this, because eventually we're going to be cutting right here in the center part to make our pom-pom. And you'll want to wrap your yarn around many times until it gets pretty full, to the point where almost all of this little half circle here is all filled up with yarn. So it does require quite a bit of yarn, but I like having super full fluffy pom-poms versus like smaller, thinner, more flimsy pom-poms. So I'm going to go ahead and continue wrapping this around so that I can show you how thick it'll need to be. Okay, so here you can see my half circle has almost disappeared. It is fully wrapped up with yarn. And then I'm just going to cut this off. It's okay if we leave it a little bit longer, that's fine. And then I'm going to go ahead and close this to kind of keep that secure in there. And now I can wrap the other side just the same way, same width that I did the previous side. So go ahead and continue wrapping around on your second side. And once you're done, we'll be ready to finish making our pom-pom. So again, this can take a little while just to get all the yarn wrapped around, but I love these little pom-pom makers. I'll put a direct link to where to purchase them in the description below for you. And they come in multiple sizes, so you can make really giant, huge pom-poms as well as little itty bitty baby ones. They're so cute. So they're great for hats, they're great for home decor, on the edge of pillows, on the edge of blankets, as earrings. The possibilities are endless. I just love them. So I'll meet you back here once we are done wrapping our second side of our pom-pom. Okay, so I just finished my second side. Going to cut this off and then close up this end just like that. Okay, so now what we're going to need to do is we're going to start cutting. Just going to cut this off. I'm switching to my sharper, pointier scissors because you will need to be able to get in here. So what you're going to do, make sure that these are closed all the way. And right in the center here where they join, we're going to start cutting all the way around to separate our little strands. So just start cutting, and you might have to go through a couple layers at a time. These are really tiny little scissors. You can only cut through so much. But here you can see we're opening up our pom-pom. So take your time with this, and I'll meet you back here once we've cut all the way around our pom. Just make sure you're going through this center line as you do it. Okay, so I've cut all the way around my pom-pom, and now we're going to cut a long tail of yarn. This is the yarn we're going to use to secure our pom and then tie it to our hat. And what you're going to do is you want to put this yarn down through this area of the pom, all the way around, getting it in there, and then we're gonna tie super tight knots, as tight as we can. To secure our pom-pom. Okay, so now that we have cut all the way around and tied a super tight knot, it's time to take our pom-pom maker apart. And so we can just, it's nice, it helps to open these up. Like that. And then you just kind of pop it open like this. And we've got our long ends here for attaching to our hat. Kind of give it a shake, and then you will need to do a bit of shaping of your pom-pom just to get it nice and perfectly round. Here you can see it kind of sticks out here on this end, but it's a nice full thick pom-pom. So I'm going to go ahead and using my scissors, I'm just going to give my pom-pom a little trim up, make sure that I get a nice round shape, and then we'll be ready to attach to our hat. So when I'm done shaping this, I'll meet you back here and I'll show you how to attach it to your hat. Now that I've gotten my pom-pom all trimmed up, it's time to attach it to the top of our hat. So the easiest way to do it, I like to use a small crochet hook, and I just insert my hook up into the center of the hat, as close to the center as possible. Grab one of my pom-pom strings and pull it through, and then kind of opposite of where I pulled up the first, for the first string, I'll pull up across from there, grab the second string, pull it through, try that again. All right. And then we can pull it tightly to the hat. And then I like to just tie a bow at first and see how I like where it lands. And if I want to adjust where I pull the strings through, I can. You can either knot it on if you'd like, and like weave in the ends if you want it permanently on your hat. If you plan to launder your hat at all, I suggest just tying a little bow in there so that you can take it off if you want to launder your hat. So now my pom-pom is attached to my hat and it's ready to wear, and that's it. That's how you make a Tobyn hat. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Don't forget that down in the description you can find links to the free written pattern on my blog, as well as the complete kit from Lion Brand Yarn. That includes the Tobyn scarf, along with links to all the materials that I used in today's tutorial. Let me know if you make a Tobyn for yourself. I'd love to see it. Make sure that you tag me, Meghan Makes Do, and use hashtag the Tobyn Hat in your social media posts. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.